Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Raw Truth with Andy. Today, I want to talk to you about whether we should actually judge people or not. And this topic really arose from an incident that actually happened last week. I had an email on Friday from a young lady, and ultimately she accused me of judging her. And the fact is, I do judge people. It's it's not something that anyone really has a control over. In fact, I put more emphasis on it. So when you come to my impact surgery, I look at three things. I look at what's called external impact indicators, and I talked about that last week in my raw truth talk. And ultimately, I look at how does the market perceive you. And she went away from the event with mixed feelings. Now, honestly, I don't probably know how she actually arrived at my impact surgery because I normally deal with people who are working in the professional services industry. However, it does go up on social media, so every now and then I do get people who probably shouldn't actually be there. So I get people ranging from barristers and former counsellors and former financial heads of the department for large corporates. However, this lady arrived and she was currently working as a nanny and she wanted to be a dance teacher. So I attempted to give her some advice on how she presented herself, and I went through the external impact indicators. And I gave her some honest feedback, just as I would just as I do everybody. I don't hold back. And my feedback can sometimes come across as very direct. And the fact is, I do that on purpose. Because if I'm harsh, then the marketplace is even harsher. And the thing is, the marketplace doesn't actually tell you. Unfortunately, in some cases, I do. So people who usually come in to see me or usually come to see me are people who are quite ambitious, quite determined as to where they actually want to get to. So they don't get offended very quickly or very easily in terms of the feedback I give them because it's the feedback I give them is my representation of what I see in the marketplace. So it's an interesting one, and I didn't and I didn't. I could have left the email like that, and I thanked her very much. But I did reply to her, and it was quite important that I did because I don't want. I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm actually here to actually help people develop. I'm here to help people grow. I'm here to help people transform into being the best they can be of themselves. So if the marketplace has a very negative image of you, then that's going to portray outwards. So so in her email to me, she actually indicated that she had a degree in economics and that I should judge her and things like this. And I actually had to reply to her that it, her having a degree in economics and a famous boyfriend had very little relevance to how she appeared in front of me on that particular day. And all I do is I profile people on what I see and not what you have. And that's how the marketplace sees you. They measure you on what they see. That's the first thing because we live in a visual world. Now, I probably talked about this a little bit last week, and I talked about what's called negativity bias. For every one negative people see in you, you've got to supplement that with at least nine positives to just balance it out back to normal. Because the thing is, we are hardwired to look at negative things first. So we not always notice the positive things, but we very definitely notice the negative things in people. So when we can actually brush that up and polish that up and eradicate those negativity elements that we actually have when we actually display ourselves to people, we will actually have far more opportunity to connect with other people. And ultimately, that is your first goal because your first area is looking to attract people. I talked about this last week. You've got to attract them and you've got to stimulate them, and they'll only be stimulated by you if they're actually drawn to you. And if you don't demonstrate that, you are costing yourself. You're costing your opportunities that are going to actually come in the future, and people aren't going to regard you. So that's what I really wanted to talk about today, because we say, I do get a lot of people say we shouldn't judge and we shouldn't stereotype, but we do. You see, we've pretty much been conditioned for years, even through advertising on television. They stimulate our senses in such a way that we just can't help but put people into categories. For anyone who's actually got a laptop, you will actually see that you actually put things in a certain file because it's how you keep all your information organized. And we do that with our brains. We put things into certain files in our head and we categorize people. So we do profile people and we do stereotype them and we all do it subconsciously. And that is our first instinct, the first feeling that we actually release, that tells us, do we want to speak to that person or not? We've always known that as our gut instinct. And you will find that until you actually sit down and actually put a thought process behind that and give it a little bit of time, you may change your mind, but instant impressions are what actually counts. And that is the difference between people actually connecting with you or people actually avoiding you. I wanted to keep this one short today, guys, because I think it's important. So the raw truth is that we are going to be judged in the marketplace regardless, whether people want to or not. So on that basis, what I'd like to leave you with today is just to actually ensure that when you actually go out and you actually even look at yourself or get someone to actually ask you to look at how you are. I mean, I actually say this to my family all the time, how do I look? And I'm thinking they're getting tired of it and they think I'm probably maybe even being vain about it. But I'm not, because it's so important to actually look the best you possibly can. We sometimes use the analogy of diamonds and how polished they are and things like this. It's the brightest, shiniest, most attractive diamond that is actually going to get bought in the marketplace. So one people want, and the more and the better the quality of that diamond, the more people are willing to pay for it. So, guys, thank you very much for listening. I hope you are well, and I will speak to you next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.